Hello, good evening, and welcome to all of you who are in the audience, who are going to come along the journey with our four players as we take a Halloween sidestep to the main story. And, what happens tonight may still be relevant toward the overall goals of the player characters and the direction the story's going. But tonight, I don't think they're going to have the opportunity to really think about that as things are going to play out. Broplier, hello to you. Astreus, hello to you. Hey, Fluffy and Lethality, hello. We also have a Dark Wolf, Coffee Cat, and I believe that, oh, there's Pneumonica. Hey, all right, well, thank you, Pneumonica. All right, now let me make sure that my system is going to be working here. So let's try reconnecting. And we'll try bringing the players up. There we go. And there's a Selene. And there's a Jade. And we'll have a Bright here shortly. Bunny Love, hello and welcome back. It's good to see you. Okay. I'll make sure that... All right, that should be good to go. I should have some background music playing for them. And unfortunately, it might seem that it doesn't want to do that. Fluffy, I understand. Doggos can have that way. Well, so now for anyone on the stream, you won't be able to hear my players talk just yet. But I was hoping that you might be able to get the background music that's playing. Oh, you're recovering from being harassed by people. I'm sorry to hear that, bro, player. Well then, this is what they should be hearing, so I guess they'll have to fill in with their imaginations, the music. But I wanted to set the mood here. Doggos are important. Well, there you go, Fluffy. You have received forgiveness. Now, I will say for those of you, if you're watching this D&D adventure for the first time, what is happening tonight is its own sort of encapsulated episode. If you know things about the characters already, because you've read our summary on our Discord, or you've rewatched the VODs or YouTube, perhaps you'll find some fun or interesting things that will happen over the course of this one shot, even though it's a part of an ongoing adventure or a campaign. But you do not need prior knowledge of the characters or the setting in order to enjoy what will happen. This is going to be an encapsulated nightmare for each of the characters that is going to befall them after the events that occurred last week. And yep, Broapplier, you're getting some expert tips here on how to present, how to make a presentation, and especially watch how Derek, playing Jade, works the camera for the effect of emotion, of compelling, of just a way to come across as very compelling, and to add to your character in a tabletop simulator presentation. Oh, and we have a Fluffy now too. A Fluffy sheep, aka Bright. All right, with that, I think that I should sneak down into our super secret voice chat, and well, why don't we talk to our players, catch up with them, see what's on their minds, and then we'll begin our adventure, and we'll see how long it takes us here tonight.
Is that a Matty?
Yes, it is. Hello.
Yes, it is a Matty.
Yep.
Why can't I hear anyone?
Oops, hang on one second.
No, there we go.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Dorek the Merciless. Welcome back, and thank you for that resubscription. I really appreciate that. Oh, and we have a cat. Okay, so hopefully I can I be heard now?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. Hey, I have everyone on camera. Excellent. Excellent. And in fact, I guess Coffee Cat will be replaced by my gray tabby here. And so we'll have to find out what was real, like, what is a nightmare to a cat?
No subservient humans to do its bidding, obviously.
Oh, the horror. Well, it is a pack of dogs. That would definitely be a nightmare, especially to this one, because you know what? This is a big old 16-pound tabby, but he is also a big softy, and he can get scared rather easily. So yes, a pack.
That is the fluffiest puppy I have ever seen.
Yeah, and he only has inch-long fluff. Sometimes in the winter I let him get up to 6 inches. He looks like a big dandelion puff.
That's great.
I need a picture of a full fluff.
Dorak said,
people that has nothing on their phone but pictures of dog.
Dorak says a fluppy.
Floppy.
Yes.
Well, it is a pleasure to see you again. I'd say live and in person, but I mean, I guess this is as close as we'll get to actually sitting at a table for a heads-up D&D session. But It's nice to be able to sit down and play with you, and especially as we're going to be doing something a little bit different, as you had received some notices this week. And what we're going to be doing is, it is going to be story related in a sense, as we are going to be exploring your characters, and so each of your characters will be receiving a spotlight tonight. As we give effectively a one-shot to each of your PCs. However, the other PCs are going to have their own influence. They're going to have their own roles. They're going to have their own ways to interact with what is going on as well. And for those of you who are out in the audience, you could provide, a bunch of spooky background stuff, any side role playing, things that you would like to do considering the story elements that are occurring. So it's going to be, it'll be a sidestep from what we've been doing in that traditional DM to PC interaction. I hope the prompts that I sent you all had made sense. Derek, I know you said that you had only just gotten home, so we'll go ahead and roll with it. I trust in your in your nature.
My only regret for tonight's stream is that I didn't budget properly, because I really had my eye on this box of maggots, like just a box of live maggots. I think it would have just been awesome to do some sleight of hand, slip them out, and just so that pour them out.
Oh wow!
Just to get in there so you can see the detail in the teeth, and just watch them crawl out of my mouth, kind of situation. Because we do it live.
Yeah. Now, for you, Lethality Complex, aka Selene, with what we're going to be doing tonight, we should still be able to finish at our usual time, so that you can get out of here and go to the Gathering of Nerds.
Yes, we also have Halloween-based things tonight.
Ooh. All right, so we'll go from one series of spooky tales to Ural's one shot as well. So with that said, as some primer, there will be some sort of fighting or combats involved tonight. So as your characters have taken a long rest at the end of the last session, that is the default setting for your characters in between one shots. So for example, Selene, as you are a cleric, normally you would get to remem spells in between days and such. So what you're going to be doing is, after we finish one adventure, if you end up using spells as Selene, and we go on to the next adventure, reset to the Selene that you started with. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, I don't really swap around my spells that often. Selene has a very specific kit that she sticks with most of the time. There are some things that she doesn't use.
Okay.
Unless the situation actually calls for them, in which she'll prepare them.
Okay.
Otherwise all that is sorted, really.
So what you're also saying is that whatever spell slots we have spent are the ones that are going to stay spent for the remainder of these sessions.
No, you will you will reset. Yeah, you'll effectively have a long rest, but you won't get the daily, like, if you can swap out things, or for Bright, Bright won't re-roll divination, the forecasting ability.
Yeah. So it's basically it's a long rest minus spell preparation and things that need to be redone at the end of a long rest, like Bright Portents.
Yep.
Otherwise, anything that regens at a short or long rest or a long rest, you get back. Spell slots, etc. Sorcery points in the case of Norelai, etc., etc.
Yep. And that'll just make for rather easy transitions between one spotlight and the next. I don't necessarily have a set time limit, though obviously, like, we ultimately have our 3 a.m. one here for you, Lethality. So I'm not looking at epic, 2-3 hour long combats, kind of like what we had in the prior session. But fighting and whatnot will occur. So just be ready to reset your spell sheet as we go from one adventure to the next. Now, Fluffy Sheep did bring up a good point that just in case we should probably do. I read that as do yours last. I figure we might do yours first, just to make sure that if we do for some reason end up, there's some cat butt. It's not a MattyMorgs stream if you don't get cat butt or me eating in front of you or both. But we might start with yours first, Selene. And that way we make sure that we get through your content in case you do. We are riding our time. Also, while this is going to be a lot of interpersonal working with each other, there might be a time where I step in and I conclude the narration or the interaction for the purposes of continuing to have things move on, so we can have 4 episodes that will each feature you all in various ways.
Yeah, fair enough.
Please don't put me in lingerie again. Please don't put me in lingerie again. Please don't put me in lingerie.
No promises.
Honey, don't threaten me with a good time.
So what I'll do is, if you all want to slip into your characters, that's fine. I'll provide a quick recap so we can just sort of get into things tonight, because really a lot of last session was a large combat with some plant creatures that were welcoming, quote unquote, you to Snam-Fi, that were reacting in odd ways to your presence, and you all ended up stabling at the Snam-Fi Tumbled Wench. And there you were able to receive a long rest, and it would seem that there you are also going to be receiving an interesting nightmare. Though this one may or may not be the same that each of you have shared. We will explore that to come. And so it is with that, I think we are going to slip in to the mind of Selene, who is our half-elf cleric of death, and what could possibly be going on in Selene's mind.
That's a very good question. Selene's mind is a massive mess of all things, both scientific and spiritual. So, good luck making heads or tails of it, because I can't.
Very well then. Challenge accepted, I suppose. But we're gonna have to get through this together. And so I believe that we are going to take a peek inside the mind of the Lady of Death. And to begin that, we're going to go to a place that might seem kind of familiar. Well, at least to the 3 of you.
The Lillywellen's gamble. Good times. I delivered a baby here.
Now, you all are here. In fact, Noralai, well, you were never on the Lillywellen's Folly, or some people might call it the Gamble as well. You are still here, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be. Selene, it's a good thing that you are on board the ship. The reason being that people haven't been feeling so well. And it seems to be more than just a case of seasickness, or maybe some bad sea biscuits that have made the rounds. Everyone, I'll tell you what. Why don't you roll me a medicine, and we'll see what you've been able to figure out. Now, obviously, you've advanced in your wisdom and your knowledge, and you can use your current set of skills as you're examining things. Oh,
24.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. Some kind of a sickness is going around. and it's already claimed the lives of several people over the course of this journey, and there are many, many others who are going to be succumbing soon. It seems to be hitting about everyone here, as Lillywellin's folly is just wait, was folly the folly might have been the town that we made. Well, anyway, the ship. Rocks and creeks, and the wood itself is adding to the moaning. The hull is reverberating with the moans of people who are sick, dying, and just the strain of the water as you are guided through the waters on the interior of Mesotopia here. What are you doing, Selene?
Well, I suppose I'll be taking note of those who are sick, hearing the moans of those about to die from sickness and things like that. It's not really something that I'm not used to. Just that's a thing that I'm relatively used to. What was done with the bodies of those who have deceased from this disease? Were they tossed overboard? Were they incinerated?
They were not tossed overboard. They were all moved. Like they were wrapped and moved to another part of the ship to await being offered to the quarantine area or to the port for proper burial, or for family who were waiting for them to come in. And, well, they were waiting for them to come in alive, and in this case, they might have to claim a corpse.
I see. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a piece of cloth that I have in my pack and tie it around my face as a bit of a gas mask. Stop that sickness from spreading to me. Because I gotta be Miss Plague Doctor here right now.
Well, and you seem to at least have 3 nurses that also haven't succumbed. In Noralai, Jade, and Bright. They have not gotten sick.
Oh, well, that's good. That's nice. Well, what I'll do is I'll go over to one of the patients, and I would like to examine him or her more thoroughly.
Okay. As you walk over, you go to examine a woman, and she looks very pale. She's sweating, and to compound things, it looks like she might be giving birth soon.
Oh joy, someone going into labor. Let's see here. Because currently Selene is very chill with everything. It's like, nurses, go get me some hot water, a blanket or two, and some towels, please. We're going to have a baby on our hands very soon.
Instead of bringing you hot water and a towel, I think you should really take these bananas. They're really good, and you can mash them up and feed them to the baby, and I think you'd really like them better.
Bananas.
They're really good. They're high in potassium and
You
stuff like
actually have bananas. Selene is going to look at you and raise a brow. It's just like, how am I supposed to feed an unborn baby? I have to deliver the baby first before the bananas are ready.
Oh, the bananas, just the right shape. You can just kind of stick it up there for the baby.
No, so I don't think that's not how that works. And I mean, I'd rather not deal with the husband if I'd rather not deal with the husband if I was to do that. Whilst I'm all for a good time, now isn't the time.
So Selene, you have Nurse Bright, who is offering a bit of an odd selection for your commands. Nurse Norelai and Nurse Jade can go and fetch at least what they can. Blankets are going to be something that, well, they're not exactly available as they've been used to wrap up dead bodies. And warm water, that's a bit of a luxury right now. So Nurse Jade might be able to find a bucket of salt water, and Norelai might be able to find like an old shredded sail.
It'll have to
Can
do.
you
I
start a
suppose.
fire, and we can use it to heat water, if you want.
If you could do that, please don't burn the boat down.
Hey, I'll do my best.
There's coughing all around you, and as you're preparing, the woman who is going to be giving birth is she seems like half out of it. Her eyes are kind of glazed, and she's breathing, but it's like she doesn't even recognize her condition. And it's clear that as the ship continues to roll over the waves, you hear cries and wails as more people are dying, and things are getting pretty desperate. There's the crew that's above decks, and occasionally you hear orders shouted. You recognize one of the voices as Captain Willowick, the tiefling captain. And it seems to be everything he can do to keep his own crew functioning above deck as you are down below.
If this sickness spreads any further, I'm going to have to mandate a mass incineration.
On a boat.
No, you push them off the boat, and then you light them on fire. You don't set them on fire on the boat, especially if the boat's made of wood. That's a very bad idea.
I think that trying to burn something that's in the water is also a bad idea.
It's something to get rid of them. It's plague critical, you know.
If you're at sea, you don't have to worry about the plague. You just throw them overboard, and then their bloated, distorted corpses will just wash up on the shore later.
But what if
That is very true. You speak very much the truth, Bright.
Bright's optimism is it's still optimistic, but it's a little odd, isn't it? Have you ever heard Bright use those words before?
No, but at the same time, I don't necessarily mind. I am used to dealing with the macabre.
Selene, make another medicine roll at disadvantage as things are getting dire. You're hearing coughs and cries. In fact, you're hearing less as the ship rolls on and the sun is setting. Fortunately, you should be pulling into port. At some time. You were supposed to arrive maybe no later than morning. And so this horrible, sickened voyage will be over soon if you can just hold out. Oh, nice. A 20 or a 22. I guess we'll take the 20.
Mm-hmm.
Selene, you have to perform an emergency surgery as the mother has not made it through the birthing process. And
such a shame.
And it would seem that the child might not last that long either, as you bring it into this world. But the child is sickly pale, and you can see, you can see blood vessels and such underneath its near translucent skin. It doesn't even cry. It just seems to exist.
It is breathing, yes?
Barely, yes.
I'll cast a Cure Wounds and see what that does.
Okay. So you cast a Cure Wounds spell into the child, and as your spell falls upon it, it almost seems to light the child up from within, like it's giving a glow, and for a moment, it appears healthy, and it seems to pass, The cure spell can't seem to fix what's ailing it. And your nurses, Nurse Norelai, Jade, and Bright, come back to you, and they're reporting that there's more that are dying. I mean, you're losing a person every couple minutes, and at this rate, unless any of you get sick, you might have to be the ones to somehow, for people who aren't sailors, try and navigate the boat into port and get help. The sun is setting. You all are doing what you can. Selene, you can give commands to the others as well, as the crew, even up above, is sick, and it seems like it's really the captain is the only one who seems to be hale and hearty, and there's not much even he can do to stir what's happening above deck.
Bright, Jade, Norelai, keep an eye on things down here. If anybody dies, you know what to do. And I'm going to immediately head for above deck.
Okay. So Selene, you are going to be going up a deck here, and there are more bodies that are stretched out here that are below the main deck as well, also wrapped in blankets or even spare sailing cloth, anything really. And as you're coming up the stairs from the bottommost deck, the steerage, you bump into one of the crew, and the crew just kind of turns around at you, and its eyes are glazed, very milky in color, and this person's flesh looks pocked.
Oh boy, that is quite the affliction you've got there. I'm going to attempt a lesser restoration on him.
Okay. Alright, so lesser restoration, calling on the power of Ouijas. Her holy symbol forms in your hand, and you reach out in order to try and remove the affliction of this sailor. And as you do, the dim eyes follow your hand, and as you make contact, the sailor tries to looks down and tries to bite your wrist. Does I don't suppose a 13 beats your AC, huh?
No.
Okay.
Not.
And so the sailor tries to bite, and in fact, on your let's see, does Selene wear gloves of some kind, or what type of armor does she roll in?
She rolls in that wonderful chain mail, but she would be wearing gloves. Scary scale mail, but she would be wearing gloves.
Okay. So what will narrate happens is tries to bite in the thick leather or the material of your gloves, protects you. You can feel the crushing force to this bite, and in fact, as this sailor is and pulls back, you can see that the material, like the leather or whatnot, even tore out a couple teeth of this sailor. But the sailor doesn't seem to notice that a couple of its teeth are stuck in your glove, and tries to lunge for you again. As that occurs, you're hearing in the back. I mean, this is a very nice, well-lit picture that we have going on up here. But more towards the back of this deck, in the darkness, and you have dark vision, you're a half-elf, there are figures that are sitting up underneath the sailing cloth and are rising to their feet. And you hear, almost in response to the crew giving a response to the captain, like an aye aye sir, you heard a ugh, and coming from the darkness of this deck, as the sun is setting on the horizon, you hear more ugh. And down below, your nurses give some sort of IE or other appropriate cry.
Selene is going to call out as loud as possible to all non-infected on this boat. We're dealing with a zombie outbreak. Grab anything you can and begin hitting.
All right, Norelai, Jade, Bright. The doctor's orders here are to grab what you can. I mean, you also see that there are people who are walking that you put the sheet over their faces. They were clearly dead, and yet they are not. And you are starting to be swarmed now down below decks. They're trying to bite and claw, and a couple of them just seem to have grabbed whatever was around them, like a plank off of a crate, or if one of them had a dagger on them, when they died, just sort of curled in a corner defensively. They're coming at you.
Jade at this point is searching around, trying to end up finding something that she can end up using. She takes a look at her flint daggers, and just not going to be enough. Even the small staff that she ends up carrying just doesn't seem to have the heft required to end up bashing in skulls. Not at this rate. Backing up towards Norelai and Bright, she tries to end up covering them as best she can. She begins to hold some form of defensive posture. I'll wait till initiative rolls to tell you where the good stuff hits.
Okay. Actually, this would be a good time for each of you, Selene and the nurses here, to roll initiative, as we are going to be surrounding you with not so good stuff.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay. Yep. Oh, Selene is on a 9. Norelai is on a 4. Jade is on a 13. And Bright is on an 11 here. Okay. So for the nurses, you're in steerage, right? You're in the bottommost deck, and you have oppressive people who are rising and are being very violent around you all. And we're going to have Selene start on this below deck here. Jade, you are the first one up, and you have already been bitten over the course of this swarm, sort of in this surprise this round. You have already taken 8 points of damage. What are you doing?
Before or after the screaming begins?
So, people have risen up. They're around you. You're going to have to move past them if you want to escape or do something. You're surrounded. Where are you running? It sounds like, Selene is above deck and is giving a command. You can choose to follow it. It sounds like maybe it's safer above board.
Well, if it's safer, then... Well, clearly, if we must go aboard, Jade will end up taking a shot at any zombie that is impeding said progress, basically trying to cut a swath between themselves and the exit.
Okay. Nice. Eldritch yeah, I think a 26 is going to hit a zombie here. Okay. Jade lashes out. You get 2 blasts technically, don't you?
I do.
Yes, yes you do.
Wow, 26 again. Okay. So Jade, you tap into your Eldritch powers, and you extend your hand out, and boop, boop, 2 Eldritch blasts end up clearing a zombie from out of the way towards the stairs that are going to the next deck up.
And she will make a run for it.
Okay, there are some other zombies that are going to try and grasp at you, and we'll see if any of them are successful. I think a 21 is going to hit.
Oh yeah, you're just looking for a 12 or higher.
Okay, and a 6 is going to hit, and you're going to take 7 points of piercing damage from a bite. And Jade, you are now on this level that you see here. Selene is... Selene's at the other steps that are about ready to go up, but you just came up to this level. Okay. So that was Jade. We now have Bright. Bright, what are you doing?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is cast Mage Armor.
Okay.
Is there a place where I could see up to the top deck?
Not from steerage. You'd really have to get up the stairs to this below deck area, and then you might be able to look up through a cargo port or something.
Well, I wanna do that. I'll follow Jade because she cleared a path.
Okay. 12 isn't going to hit you. Oh, but there is a critical on you. So as Bright is dashing, and you have these zombies that are around these people, and you know what, the rocking boat makes their movement even more erratic, because they'll just suddenly like lurch forward, even if they didn't try to. And so one seemingly just like falls atop you, Bright, and not only does it fall on you, squishing you partially, but it bites you as well. And you are going to take 7 points of piercing damage. I guess it's like a mixture of piercing and bludgeoning from the fall. But you have like this like pus and blood on you from where this thing fell on you, and you manage to crawl out using its own juices and make it to the stairs.
It has the consistency of smushed bananas.
That's appropriate to describe it as, yes.
So
Bright
can
has
I...
an odd. Bright has a very odd obsession with bananas.
It's true. Can I get to a place where I could see the top deck?
I'll say from where you're coming up, if you're coming up over here, you'd be able to see the stairs where Selene is kind of at the top of, because she ran into a sailor, kind of preventing her progress. So you can kind of see the top deck. It would probably have some sort of cover, though, as there's different beams and other support structures are still around.
That's fine. As soon as I get to where I can see, I want to cast a Misty Step so I can teleport over to where
Gotcha.
she is.
Okay, so, and you end up reappearing. You sort of in your misty form, just sort of woo 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 all the way through, and you reappear.
So that's a misplay. I can't cast Misty Step and Mage Armor on the same turn because the second spell has to be a cantrip. So,
Yep, okay.
for the next round.
Sure. All right, you have it calculated. You're going to curve around this or that, and you have it ready to go. Next up, we actually will have Selene. So Selene, you're at the top of the steps, going from below deck to the actual top deck here. And so what you're finding is, as you're coming up through one of the hatches here, there's this soldier and or not a soldier, a sailor, and is on you, is accosting you, and there are others. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess you're still kind of below deck. Anyway, you're in this midpoint. But you can still see above. I mean, you have a better view than what Bright was hoping for what she's going. What are you doing? There are many, many groans and shuffling feet, let alone the ship itself.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify my nurses when I cast this. but as an action, I believe it's action. Is it an action? Yes, it is. I'm going to be casting these Spirit Guardians. That's so my 15-foot radius, 4 large spectral angels of death wielding scythes pop up around me as my action.
Okay.
So any of the zombies that come within 15 feet of me have their speed halved and need to make a save. I believe it's a... I will tell you what kind of save it is. Wisdom save.
Okay.
Oh, you changed that to a spell card. Actually... No, I'll leave that as an attack.
Alright, so Selene, you say a prayer to Ouijas, and these spectral angels of death manifest around you. As they do, they pause for a moment, and all of them, as they surround you, underneath their hoods and cloaks, or whatever sort of pall is over them, they seem to be regarding you, looking at you for some kind of command.
Basically, the command will be strike at anyone who is... Actually, no, I won't be that broad, because that could be a very bad idea. That could very much backfire on me. It's just like, if you see a zombie, strike it. Otherwise, leave it be.
Yes, Mistress of Death. And they all give their scythes a twirl and are prepared to follow your orders. Nurse Norelai, you are alone on the bottom deck, and the zombies and just like all this like sick, the pestilence and everything is surrounding you.
How many zombies are in a 15-foot cube of me?
Many. Considering everyone was packed in here when they were alive, let alone dead.
I'm gonna thunder wave everyone.
Okay.
I'll also use a one sorcery spell to just in case it'll hit right Selene or Jade. I'll use a careful spell so they make the save.
Okay. You all who are above Norelai hear a thunderous crack as a localized thunderstorm has just popped up down below decks, and many of these zombies are pushed back, but there's not really a way to push them back. They're already huddled. They're already closing in. You might be able to buy a little bit of room, but they're already packed against each other in this wave, and you hear some of these brittle, diseased bones are cracking, and even the old ship itself, from your thunderous power, seems to give various cracks through the beams in the wood, as just this percussive force goes off down below deck. What are you doing now, Norelai?
I'm gonna run away.
Okay. You begin running. As it would push some back. There's probably going to be one that's going to get an AO on you still, despite being pushed, and you run past it. Does an 18 hit?
Yeah, I don't have mage armor, yeah.
Alright, you take 3 piercing damage as it bites you, as you pass. And then it's their turn. They get up, they hobble, they trip, and fall over each other. Doctor. Doctor, Lady of Death. And they begin trudging in all around you. And on all decks, they are rising and shambling forward. Selene, you have a bit of a bubble around you because zombies are already slow, and your angels are making them a little slower. So if only your nurses could possibly reach the top of this staircase, you might have a little bit more of a chance. However, down below, at the other decks, they're going to begin being swarmed. Norelai, several of these zombies are surrounding you and are going to try biting. You. Miss. 13.
Matches.
Okay, so that's one hit. That's one hit, and that'll be 2 hits. Norelai, you're going to take 9 piercing damage as you're bit by some of these zombies that are now surrounding you. Jade, you blew this path forward. You've been rushing ahead, and a particularly large fellow, someone who you might, well, I don't know, depending on your self-confidence, but maybe you wouldn't want to mess with a person like this. Very strong, very well, he was very alive until not too long ago. Steps up and tries to savage you, and just tries to claw at you, swinging wildly. All 3 of those are going to hit. I don't even need to second guess.
Yep.
And as this very large individual does, you are going to take 5, 6, 13. You're going to take 28. You're going to take 28 bludgeoning damage as it's beating down on you. Bruising, breaking parts of you. Are you still conscious?
No. Jade I'm imagining he's hitting with the force enough to shatter collarbones, and the head got ripped to the side. You might even see a bit of her own neck starting to stick out through the side. It is not pretty, as she is pancaked down by at least a foot before her body kind of shudders and falls back.
Selene, down below, you hear the sounds of Jade being pulped.
Ugh. Yikes. That's, maybe Bright should have offered her the banana.
Well, and let's see what happens to Bright here, as someone here who was, let me make sure I have the right, okay. So Bright is going to be savaged by several zombies as well. Does a 14 hit you with your mage armor? Okay. Okay, there are going to be 2 hits against you, and you are going to take...
No, I'm not going to take anything. I'm going to cast shield.
Oh, okay. So Bright, Bright is going to be savaged, and all around Bright, as if she doesn't already have that kind of sparkling mage armor. There's just magical brilliance as they try and pound down on this little forest gnome, and her magic is repelling them, away. Jade, however, I don't think is going to be that lucky. And so now we're going to come back up to the top, and Jade, well, Jade doesn't really get to do anything right now. So we're going to go directly to Bright. Bright, what are you doing?
Okay, so can you give me a picture of the tactical situation? If I were to run towards Selene on my little gnome feet, would I make it?
Yes.
Would I be able to get there? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna run. How far is it? Like how much of my?
We'll say it's it's so you kind of would come up at one end. We'll say it's about 20 feet to get to the bottom of the stairs at the other end of the deck. Long ways.
And is the staircase like? Is it full of zombies too, or is it just mostly Selene there?
No, it's Selene at the top, and there's zombies on top, and the zombies are down below where you are at on that side of on that part of the deck.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna run over to Selene, and I'm gonna say, Selene, Selene, we have to sink the ship. It's the only way to save the world. Okay, I don't have any time to wait for that. I'm gonna go ahead and cast a fireball right in the middle of the zombies, right in the middle of the center deck.
Okay, all right. So, all right, one deck down. You turn around. Your new spell crackles between your fingers, and all right. Noralai, you're gonna have to save against this.
Noralai is gonna go ahead and she's gonna roll a 17.
Okay. Noralai, you're surrounded here, and just this little this bead of fire goes over your shoulder, and for a moment you're like, oh, that mitt, and then you just see the light from behind you as you turn and you sort of dive forward, and the fire, well, you're only going to take half damage, so. But hey, you're a tiefling too, so that's not too bad, right? So it'd be 14 from the save, so you're just taking 7 points of fire damage. Are you still up, Noralai?
I have 7 points left.
Okay.
Sorry, it can't be helped. You better run though.
Snack.
All right. Selene, what are you doing?
Bonus action, I'm gonna healing word Noralai.
Okay.
And I will second level spell that. Just need to get my character sheet. Character sheet coming on. So bonus action, Noralai, you'll heal for 7.
Okay.
And then is there a zombie within 5 feet of me?
Yes.
In fact, hold on a second. How many zombies are within 30 feet of me?
Many.
Can they all make a wisdom saves, please?
There's just go ahead and narrate what's happening. I'm not going to roll for all the zombies because there are many zombies.
All right, so Selene is going to raise her holy symbol and speak a prayer to. Basically, she's telling them all to get back. So
Okay.
it's a wisdom saving throw, or be turned, or if they're actually, hold on. If they're CR 1/2 or lower, if they fail, they just die.
Okay. A couple zombies around you. I mean, not just like a one or two. Like a good portion of them do just sort of and they dust away in the face of your radiant presence. Though there are some that are still left. Albeit, some are affected and some aren't. But there are many zombies, and also not a lot of them are just, sick, sort of third world steerage class passengers. Though you did get a bulk of the more gribbly zombies.
Okay.
Noralai, you're coming up. Fortunately, right at the top of the steps, Selene is glowing with radiance. She's commanding the undead to be banished, and some of them even took that advice and just sort of dusted themselves. What are you doing here?
Can I run up to Selene?
Yeah.
I would like to run up to Selene and just cast invisibility on myself.
Okay.
Fair. No, that's a very fair thing to do.
So literally, she just runs up and like disappears like right before it looks like she would crash into her.
Okay.
But she's scared.
So Selene is kind of gonna deadpan. It's like, you know, I heard you cast that spell, right? You're scared because zombies.
There are moans and groans from below deck. There's crackles as licks of flame are catching onto loose, dry bits like rope and sail and other things. And well, hopefully they don't have a powder keg or anything stored around.
Bright, Jade, Gnarly, we're getting a life raft and we're getting out of here.
I don't think Jade made it. But the rest of us can get a life raft. That would be great.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Selene, Bright, and Norlai, you can see that this zombie, or this thing, I mean, it could be a zombie or it might be more, lets Jade's, like, broken body, like her neck just sort of, like, pointing out from the side and whatnot, fall to the side. And it holds fire in its hands, and it seems to shape it almost like what Bright was doing. And its dead, milky eyes look up at you. And
oh no.
It throws the fire back. I need all three of you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, that's gonna. Oh, I'm taking the brunt of this.
Okay.
Probably made mine. 19 is pretty good.
19 is pretty good.
I jumped behind Selene.
Right, shield up. Selene is doing a Reinhardt.
Okay. So, Norlai, you dash to try and get out of the way, and in so doing, you are going to bump into Selene, and I wouldn't exactly say that you're taking a bullet for Selene here, but you are going to be knocking Selene away, and what happens in this moment, you all can see. And Selene, before this invisible force just like bashes you out of the way. To call it a fireball, like Bright cast a fireball. It was very pretty. It looked like fire. Probably had some sparkles to it. This looks like a dark, like a flaming skull screaming its way from below decks up at the point that you saw there, or to your point, and for Norlai and Bright, you are going to take, because you did save, each of you are going to take 35 points of combined necrotic and fire damage.
Oh,
Okay.
35.
I believe that knocks us all down.
Yeah, I think we're all dead.
So much
I'm
is
certainly
fires.
incinerated.
Yeah, no, that knocks me to -2 from maximum.
Selene, you have been knocked out of the way by Norlai, and really the last thing you saw of Norlai then, before she was incinerated by this necrotic flame, is probably just like this glimmer or this outline, as the fire just sort of like still went over her form. So think like the Invisible Woman meets the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four here, and then there's nothing. So,
Ooh.
Selene, you still hear groans coming up from below deck. You are hurt. You're burnt. Necrotic, like this necrotic energy has crackled over your skin, possibly twisting and causing pain. There is a place as the rest of the boat is on fire and or just is being swarmed by other zombies. Your angels of death are putting in work, but there was hundreds of people on this ship. And I mean, it's just not holding them back. Though there is one place here, the captain's quarters, that the door does seem to be swinging slightly open.
Well, I am currently unconscious because that knocked me to -2.
You are not. Norlai took the brunt of this for you. She may have rolled critically, but she took a lot of this damage for you as she just incinerated invisibly in front of you here.
I rolled a protection.
And in fact, you didn't see the captain around. He might have abandoned the deck in the wake of all this. But he is not shambling around.
Selene is gonna get up and make her way towards the captain's quarters.
Okay. You barge inside, and fortunately, I mean, the captain's quarters, it's reinforced, it's very good quality. It's meant to withstand attack in case there's a mutiny. It can take hatchet blows. It can take strong sailors trying to bash down the door. And
Can't take a hold of the undead, though, apparently.
well, we'll see. They haven't quite reached there yet. So if you wish, you can bar the door. Like, you can lock it. There's like a big sliding, like a ka-chunk lock.
Could I drag Bright with me?
Bright, if you were to try and drag her, like, she's kind of turned into a statue of ash. So, you know, like, touching her hand would cause it to just sort of, like fall away. With a bit of a sparkle.
Okay, well then, yeah, no, I'll just enter the cap, what is, I can assume is the captain's quarters.
Okay. You do so.
Lock the door behind me.
The door locks behind you. As you're looking around inside, it's the captain's quarters, but in its own way, this is like a throne room. The captain's chair is magnificent. It's large. It's padded.
Do you want to live forever?
Oh
wow, 12 for 10 cents. So 12 for 10. Are you looking to be a fickle god, or what? Are you teasing? Are you teasing the strands of fate here? Let me know what you want to do here. And as you're looking around, Selene, you can hear that there's some shuffling and some initial, like, and some claws and uhs. In this grand chair, this captain's seat, you don't see the captain, but there is a porcelain mask that is resting very gently on the cushion of the chair. And outside, there's... And you are hearing... like, the door does sound like it is, it's beginning to splinter, but it's still strong, but it's getting beaten down.
I'll go have a look at the mask.
It's a perfectly smooth porcelain, pure white porcelain mask. It seems vaguely feminine in features, and there's something about it that just you pick it up and a chill, not a temperature wise chill, but just a chill goes through your body, as if this this mask has a connection to death, undeath, to something. You feel... Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna pick it up.
You do so.
And I'm gonna put it on.
Okay. You have it, and it has no straps, but it makes contact with your face, and you feel as if your blood turns to icy rivers as it flows through you, and your eyes can peer through, but your mouth seems to make no noise as it freezes ? To your face, and after a moment of your own exhaling, sort of forming a rising mist around the outsides of the mask, it feels as if it's attached, and at the same time, you feel perhaps attached in your own way to death. The door breaks open, and several zombies start pouring inside. But you wear the mask. You have the throne, Selene. You can hold them back if you wish.
I'm going to do so.
You hold your hand out, and just this sheen of dark energy, like a force field, rises up, and the zombies claw and scrape. But nothing seems to be able to break your barrier, your mastery here. The power is here, Selene. You are understanding. You're Selene, but I think in a way, perhaps you might be more. A zombie just on a whim of yours. You know, you say, raise your right hand. Ugh. It raises its hand. Turn around. Ugh.
It's really funny because I have Animate Dead as a spell that is always prepared for me. It's a domain spell of mine. But
the night continues. The moon rises. The zombies have taken over. In fact, the ship is in very poor state. A lot of it is burnt, probably smoldering, probably just limping along at the waterline. But the rocking has seemed to stop. It's a very calm night. And as your head is being filled with maybe blessed, maybe cursed information from Weejoss or others or beyond, a figure...
If it's Vecna can go down a hole.
A figure walks up to your shield and is stopped by it because you have power here. Great power. Through this pure white porcelain mask. The figure is of jade. Broken-necked jade. And she stands on the border of your kingdom.
What happened to Bright's camera?
Buddies come along for days, and they don't launch to your drum. Isn't that why you look into it?
I suppose that I thought that you had more faith in me than that, Jade. But
Faith. Faith. In what? In one who proclaims to be the master of death, and yet everything around her just passes on anyway. And then, what is the point of the title? Why?
people call me Mistress of Death. Sure, they call me the High Priestess of Lines. They call me many, many, many things. But the thing that no one seems to get is for every hand that takes, there is one that gives.
Really? Yes, I don't think that's what's happening anymore. Not you, Captain. We'll be sailing. We'll be adding to the crew. Imagine what you can do with that. Yes, you might have your doubts. You might have the wisdom to say otherwise. Up until, well, you get bored. You change. You create a whole new philosophy for yourself. Is after all, what is faith without deed? And yours lies here. Lies with the dead.
And with those words, Selene, broken neck Jade, collapses.
Selene, under her mask, has a very somber expression. Like,
The pale moon rises, the smoke bleeding out of this burnt husk of a ship clings to the still waters of the sea like a fog. It smells of burnt wood, it smells of death and burnt hair and bodies. And speaking of burnt bodies, edging up to the shield that is the boundaries of your kingdom, of your power, is Norelai. Well, I mean, in her presentation, though how she looks will be as she'll describe. Norelai?
So a little purple ghost comes floating towards you. Hi, Selene.
Naralai.
I'm glad you're okay.
Tell me, Naralai, why did you push me out of the way?
I've always liked you. You're a really pretty person.
Is that all?
I thought maybe we could be friends. But, you know, things happen, I guess.
Well, I mean, when you get burnt to a crisp, things do happen, yes. You're really pretty, kind of short and punchy, but pretty. Oh, it's funny because she's the tallest one of the party. Even with her 3-inch reduction.
You're much taller than you two. I wish I could be taller. But, I'm done growing.
And done living, it seems.
Yeah, that too.
I'm sorry. It's just something that Derek typed in chat that made me laugh.
Norelai, are have you made peace or offered wisdom to Selene?
If you do find my brother, you know, just tell him it wasn't your fault.
I will make sure to.
And then she fades away.
The purple tiefling ghost fades away. The edge of your shield seemingly just sort of banishes her. And the night continues. It's still. You contemplate. You feel not just the currents of wind that blow in through a flapping window. You feel energy, control, power, Selene, power. It's making sense. And perhaps death. Death isn't so scary. Death is a force to be controlled, like anything else. And it's not quite dawn, but it is the darkest before the dawn. A third figure comes up to your energy shield, your barrier, to the edge of your kingdom of death, and says the following.
You cut out there. I did not hear that. If you were talking. Yeah, no, I cut out there for a second, so I didn't hear any of that, I'm sorry.
You think you are the master of death. You're not. I could see the future before, but now I see the future and the present and the past. They're all the same now. I don't even begin to understand the forces that you meddle with.
You'd be quite right. I don't.
Then what gives you the right to make those choices?
What gives me the right is the pursuit of that answer that I do not have. That is what gives me the right.
So your pursuit of knowledge gives you power over the lives and deaths of others? Important? You are nothing.
Says the superfluous.
Selene, you have the power to banish this little ghostly ashen gnome.
I'm not going to.
She's afraid. She knows that what I say is true. She doesn't have the right to wield the powers that she does.
So, Selene looks upon the ashen bright. And she says, maybe at some point you might have been right.
At some point,
However,
all times are the same now.
from the perception of one. But, and Selene draws her rapier. And she holds it in her hand. She doesn't draw it in a threatening way. She just draws it and holds it in her hands. And she looks over it. There is a piece of your puzzle that is missing, Bright.
That's so.
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
I have very recently gained an understanding that you could never truly comprehend. Not because you are incapable of it. In fact, no. In fact, out of everyone, I would believe that you'd be the most capable of grasping it. However, what it is something unspoken. Something primal of this world. And she she runs her hand along the rapier. She says, I understand everything. Not just death, but the cycle that it belongs to. Life leading to death, leading to rebirth, into life, into death, and so on and so forth. There are secrets that I could reveal to you that...
I already know them. I know them now.
Exactly. And we're on the same page. Except for one thing. And she twirls the rapier in her hand, aiming the tip at herself. Says, something to be done. To answer one final question. And she, using her hand, is going to plunge the rapier into herself, straight through the heart.
Selene, as you... Oh.
So you do understand. You'll be joining us soon.
And as she would do this, it is a ritual, something that she has read over and many times, but had never thought that she would need to do in her life, or rather, at the end of it, as she as if the rapier pierces her heart. I like Hearts references that are like, but as if it pierces her heart, the blood from within her body would magically splay out behind her in the skeletal form of a pair of wings. It said made in blood.
So then, Selene, as you are preparing this, and as Bright has come to speak to you, the first rays of dawn are starting to crest over the ship. And as you prepare to pierce yourself, rays of sunlight pierce through this ashen gnome, and she begins to dissipate with those words of, it seems that you'll be joining us. You pierce yourself, and as you do, there's no blood. There's really no pain. And there's just nothing, it would seem. Except, yes, on the horizon ahead, it seems that you've been sailing all night, and the port lies ahead. Selene, as you emerge from the captain's quarters, and you climb the ladder for a better view, you can in fact see Mesomasca ahead, and in particular, Mask of Flowers. It's gray. Smoke and fog clings to everything. And it's decrepit. Nothing seems to be moving. Just the ship. Just the ship. No one is stirring in the port. No sails are billowing with wind. And as the ship doesn't necessarily dock, but it bumps into one of the piers. Everyone is dead. Everything is gone. Everything is ashen and smoky and burnt and ruined and broken. And so, Selene, it would seem you've arrived to your kingdom. A kingdom of you. And thus, having all of the power, but perhaps none of the subjects, Selene would awaken the next morning, having this experience. Now, with this, you all can reset your character sheets because we are going to get into the next nightmare.
Yep. I'm just going to type something in chat.